So guys, my name is Roisin. I'm a first year PhD student in the School of Chemical Sciences and I research in the area of material chemistry. I did my undergrad in chemical and pharmaceutical science. And today I'm going to talk to you about the chemistry degrees that we have on offer in DCU and why you should do them. So just a quick fact, DCU ranks first in Ireland and 23rd in the world for their employment rates within the first 12 months. So I can say a huge reason for this is because of the integrated training that we have in your third year, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. So why do chemical sciences in DCU? Here I've highlighted two points that I really appreciated in my undergrad. So the first one is the small class sizes. So the small class sizes are great because you get to know everyone on a personal level. It's a great way of making friends. So if this is something that daunts you, don't worry. The class sizes can be about from 30-ish to 40 people and even smaller. I believe chemistry with AI is about 15 people at the moment, but they plan to increase this. And as well as that, the career emphasis, as I mentioned, which is INTRA, which stands for integrated training. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but it's basically in your third year, you go out into industry to get a taste of what it's like for 6 months. So as well as that, we have a strong commitment to teaching and learning, research-informed curriculum, award-winning undergraduate labs, and student-centered ethos. So some things you get to do here include our intra, exchange opportunities, field trips, and competitions. We have 6 degrees on offer, and these include the Chemical Sciences General Entry, the Chemistry with AI, Chemical and Pharmaceutical Science, Analytical Science, Environmental Science and Technology, and a Bachelor's in Science Education. So, first year. First year is pretty much the same for each of our chemistry students across the board. It includes a mix of lectures, tutorials, and labs, small assessments throughout the term to help you monitor your progress, regular feedback, an open door policy, which means if you have any questions, queries, or even complaints, we are all ears. The Maths Learning Centre is super. I am not a mathsy person, so I really availed of this facility in my first year. It's in the library and it's open to everyone. So if you struggle with maths, this is great for you. There's personal tutors, and we're very proactive online with virtual lectures when they work, and we understand how to use Zoom, unlike me. But the virtual labs as well to support in-person labs. And the virtual labs are great because they give you like really good context behind what you're doing in the in-person labs. So intra, this is what I mentioned before. It is a 6-month placement in third year or in the fourth year of your honours degree programme. It features chemical, pharmaceutical, analytical, and environmental science areas. It includes the top pharmaceutical and chemical companies in Ireland. You get to develop your skills in the pharma industry, and all the companies always have positive feedback about our students. So from my experience, I went to a company called Ipsen. It's a biopharmaceutical company. I was in quality control, and I got to have a taste of all the departments that they had on offer. One thing that I think is super about Intra, and it's unlike any other college, is you get to put your foot in the door before you're even in a company. So if there's a company that you think you'd like to work in, you can definitely try and get there for your Intra and third year. And this is great because DCU has amazing connections with all of these companies that you see on your screen. And honestly, I couldn't recommend it enough because it gives you a good taste of what you might or might not like. And a lot of if I didn't do a PhD, I was going to go back to the company that I worked in, and they welcomed me back with open arms. So honestly, it's super, and I couldn't recommend it enough to do any of our chemistry courses because of this great opportunity. So then I'm going to talk about these science degrees. One of the great ones is Chemical Sciences General Entry. So if you know you like chemistry, but you're not sure which course to pick, and you're interested in DCU, this is great for you. So it gives everyone a level, in your first year, you get a level playing field of all of chemistry, biology, physics, and maths. So since everyone's on that level playing field, so in case you're worried that, for my Leaving Cert, I didn't do physics, or maybe you didn't do biology, this will bring everyone up to the same level and understanding of each of these topics. So then, a little bit like your CAO, you're going to put a preference of each of the courses that you like. And we have last year, 80% of students got their first choice. So don't worry too much. As long as you study and pass your exams, you will more than likely get the degree you like. And as well as that, on the flip side, if you're worried that you're in a course or degree that you think you mightn't like, do not worry. if the space is there, it is usually no issue at all to switch over from one degree to another, because the great thing is, since everyone's doing the same thing in first year, it's usually no issue to switch over if you have this worry. And then you can see that science ed and environmental science, they're kind of on their own branches there. And that's because they're not as heavy in theory with chemistry, whereas the other three at the bottom, they would be quite heavy with theory. However, science ed and EST, they would be more field-based. So they go out into the field to do their research or out into the classroom to do their training. So some requirements that you may need are in maths, you will need a grade of an O3 or a H6. And guys, if you're worried about maths, look, I'm not a mathsy person, but I got a H6 and now I'm doing a PhD. So God knows how that happened, but don't worry. You shouldn't have to worry about the requirements too much. And then all you'll need is an O3 or a H5 in any of the science subjects: chemistry, physics, biology, physics with chem, or ag science. So chemical and pharmaceutical science, my baby that I did in undergrad. This specializes in the pharmaceutical area, drug design, synthesis, general chemistry, and nanotechnology. So why would this be for you? If you're interested in how chemicals and molecules can be used to impact your life, or if you want to understand the design, synthesis, formulation, and characterization of pharmaceutical ingredients, then this may be for you. One of the reasons why I chose to do this course is because I know the pharma industry is huge. So it's an extremely employable degree. You get a great background in all topics in chemistry if you decide that pharmaceutical isn't the route you want to go, and I'm going to talk about that now. So in your final year, you get two options, and I like to think of it almost like you major in chemistry and you're going to minor in your final year in one of these. So if you pick the pharmaceutical option, this is about medicinal chemistry. So you'll be learning about designing drugs and modeling drugs' behavior in cells. So this means you will pick a module called medicinal chemistry. I didn't pick this personally just because it's not what I'm interested in. I was interested in the chemistry option, which means you will pick a module in your final year called interfacial and supramolecular chemistry. It sounds crazy, but it's very interesting. And it's all about the designing and making of nanomaterials and materials modeling. So next we have analytical science. It's a little bit like the sister course of chemical and pharmaceutical is how I like to think of it. It specializes in the analysis. You learn about quality control, product development, and really it's a great course if you want to go straight into industry, in my opinion, because you get to learn how tons of instruments work and also how to use them. So if an employer sees that you know how to use your HPLC or your GC, they will be very happy. So similar to chemical and pharmaceutical, in your final year, you're going to pick a stream. So there's the biology stream where you learn about growing living cells and industrial bioprocessing, or the chemistry stream where you get to make metal compounds for industrial use or analyzing molecular fingerprints for forensic analysis. So in my experience, a lot of students tend to go for the biology stream. One reason for this is you don't have to do a final year research project, whereas if you pick the chemistry stream, you do have to do a final year research project. Now, I couldn't recommend enough to do a research project because it gives you a great taste if you might be interested in research, in case you want to do research and development in the future. So honestly, don't be scared and don't be put off by it. I couldn't recommend it enough. If you think you're interested in research, do it. And it's the same with chemical and pharmaceutical science. In your final year, you will do a research project as well. So the chemical, pharmaceutical, food, electronic, agricultural industries all depend on analytical scientists to make sure their processes operate safely and correctly. So employers want to know the answers to the questions at the bottom of the screen. So what is the strength of this tablet? Is this water safe to drink? Will the glue be strong enough? Is this animal feed contaminant free? They want answers. So this is honestly a great and extremely employable degree. So chemistry with AI. This is a brand new course in DCU. I believe it started last year. The course is now 15 people, but they plan to make this bigger into about 30 per class. You get to learn skills in chemistry, computing, applied to new medicines, materials, and monitoring. So a chemist with specialization in AI uses the power to identify novel molecules, new medicines, new sustainable materials, and new tomorrow. So it is going to only further increase in drugs and material firms, and the program has been designed to ensure graduate employability into the future. So honestly, this is very novel. I'm not too familiar with chemistry with AI. My supervisor is the head of this She is the chairman of this module. So if you think you are interested in this course, her name is Dr. Loan Nakumba. So if you want to go onto DCU website and see the chairperson, feel free to email them with any of your queries. Honestly, they'll be more than happy to answer you. So you get to revolutionize how drugs are discovered, developed, and produced. So one thing that I found really interesting about this course is if you want to see how a drug is going to react on a person, you can, instead of testing it on the person in case there's adverse effects, you can do it all on the software and you can see how the drug will play out given the receptors and the molecular structure. So it's very, very interesting, and it's a brilliant route to go down, because I think this is only going to become more and more popular. So environmental science technology. So I would say this is becoming more and more topical, given, unfortunately, climate change is becoming more and more prevalent in our media. But you get to learn techniques that enable us to understand the environmental issues such as climate change, biodiversity decline, and pollution. So if you think you'd like to be out in the open and doing your research and gathering your samples from the outdoors, this is definitely for you. You get to contribute to your understanding to the environment. So if you're into sustainability and you want to promote your knowledge in climate change and spread more awareness, then this is a great course. And as you can see here, this course goes on a ton of field trips because, as I said, they do all their research out in the field. So if you think this is for you and you like being outdoors and you'll be gathering all your samples outdoors, this is for you. And it's not too chemistry based, as in you're not going to be doing advanced organic chemistry or advanced inorganic chemistry. This is honestly a great one. And all of my friends that do this really enjoy it. So it studies the impact of man's actions on the environment to ensure that it remains safe for all living creatures, propose remedial actions if the environment is threatened. And two subjects that you'll be looking at is chemistry and biotechnology. So as it says on the screen, the world is really your oyster with this degree, because you'll be looking at climate and pollution adaptation and mitigation, environmental protection roles in the pharmaceutical, manufacturing, semiconductor industries, wastewater management, soil and air management, environmental advocacy, careers in climate, natural process, pollution, and the other many research areas in this area. So honestly, this is probably going to become more and more topical, and I can see more and more people wanting to do this course given the rate that the planet is going, but it's a really good one to do if you think this is for you. So science education, you'll end up with a degree in chemistry with maths, chemistry with physics, or physics with mathematics. So the employment is 75% continuing teaching in both Ireland and the UK, whereas the other percent go to postgrad studies and either a master's or a PhD. So these people kind of get a good all-round surrounding of all the sciences, in my opinion, but they don't go, again, not too heavy in each of the sciences. And they get to go on placement as well. So if you know yourself, if you think you'd like to do teaching, then this one is great. And again, you get to do your intra, which is super. So we have a ton of opportunities for all these chemists. I'm not going to read them all out, but it goes from research to teaching to drugs development, process, quality control, hospital laboratories, all of them, the whole lot. And as well as that, if you would like to do a master's or a PhD, there's those options too. So we have a ton for each of our courses. And as well as that, we have our research areas. So we have sensors. In fact, the National Centre for Sensor Research is here in DCU, just over beside me. Water analysis, we also have the Water Institute, which is huge. They look at water and the quality that we consume. And actually all water on campus is provided by the Water Institute, and they test it, I think, weekly, Don't quote me on that. But yeah, we have a ton of things here, research areas in DCU. So some of the samples of research that we do. So we have environmental monitoring, sensors, drug design, materials design, and nanotechnology. So my PhD is in sensors and material design. I'm developing a biosensor that detects pathogenic bacteria. And honestly, I would never have considered research if it wasn't for the fourth year project opportunity in your final year. You get to pick a project with any of the supervisors that are here in the School of Chemical Sciences and get to work with them in your final year. And honestly, it's one of the reasons why I'm doing a PhD, and I got the opportunity to do it as well. So the CAO Points. Now, the leaving cert has been a little bit crazy with COVID, and I know the points are going up and down, but here's just a little insight into what the points were. Some of them went up, some of them went down. And as you can see, AI was a brand new course as well there. So guys, if you have any questions, and I apologize for technical difficulties at the start, please ask me now. Or if not, you can go to studenthelp@dcu.ie, or you can talk to any of our chairpersons. Oh, hello. Big, okay. First of all, this is a great presentation, Ruthie. Thank you very much. Offer DCU, thank you so much. Okay. Yes. Oh, the infamous stipend for this PhD. So yeah, I'm just going to mention that really quickly. The only downfall of PhD, and not to blame Simon Harris, but it's not great at the moment, but it's more than enough to live in Dublin. It wasn't the reason, it didn't really influence my decision to do a PhD, but it's definitely a factor to consider. Secondly, and this is a question my son has because he loves chemistry, sport. If one is interested in getting involved in controlling for signs of doping in athletes, should they go for the course he took, Chem and Pharmaceutical Sciences or Analytical Science? That is an excellent question. So if they're interested in getting involved in controlling for signs of doping in athletes, so in my opinion, if he is more interested in what happens with the doping in an athlete, so what does the drugs do and how it affects the athlete itself, I would say to do chemical and pharmaceutical, because that really goes heavy into like how the receptors react and how it affects the human body. However, if he's more looking into how much of the drug is required or how much of the active pharmaceutical ingredient, I would say analytical science is better that way. So depends if he's more interested in how it works or how, like the qualitative and quantitative data. So it's up to him. But yes, highly recommend DCU.